are live, all the way live. It's 5:22 p.m. Central Time. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Got it. So everyone has to play nicely with one another. See who all decides to jump in this evening. On this Monday evening. Oh, there he is. I was hoping you would join. It's soccer day. You are correct. It is. This is the only practice of the week, though. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump in and do a live stream. And these things only occur every other week during soccer practice because I have my daughter, like that's how it's not exactly how our agreement is set up. It's just we have a verbal agreement. We do week on, week off. So I have my daughter for a week and then she goes back to her mother's house for a week. So that's when you'll see me doing these live streams during soccer practice. So it's every other week. But it is a really good way to spend about an hour and a half worth of my time. Happy Monday. How was the range session? What was that? What day was that? Friday? Whatever day it was. Losing track of my days. Pulling more. Oh, really? Dang. So then I'm guessing, because you had sent me a text that you think you just have maybe a weird lot of IMR 4831, I think is what you sent me the text about. Happy belated Easter. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, hey, the tomb's empty, I was thinking about that over the weekend, right? It's like Friday, Jesus is nailed to the cross and he dies, right? Because he came to earth as a man, dwelt among men and women and children, right? Kind of hung out with everyone and died on Friday, put in the tomb. And then you've got Saturday. I feel like Saturday is a day that kind of gets overlooked from time to time, because you got Friday, he's hanging on the cross, then they put him in the tomb, and then you got Saturday is basically like this period of time where there's just nothing, right? And he's in the tomb, and then Sunday, right, that stone's rolled away, he's not there, okay? Which everyone typically focuses on, right? But man, it's that moment in time, it's that space in between that I found myself thinking about this weekend, where it's like, man, if you try to put yourself in the disciples' shoes, right, and you go, man, this is the guy that's supposed to deliver us. This is the guy. This is, we're putting all our eggs in one basket, so to speak, not to necessarily use an Easter pun here, but our chips are all in on this guy and he's dead, right? It's like, man, imagine what they were thinking on Saturday. That's what I found myself thinking about this weekend, right? Is like, man, imagine that. It's yeah. Because I think we find ourselves doing that from time to time, or at least I do in life. It's like, man, God, are you going to show up? And then he shows up, right? But it's that space in between. Yeah, that can be a tough place to find yourself. Got cornbread in the house. or at least he was. Yeah, so you had sent me that text. I don't know. I don't know if you did get a weird lot, man. My velocity numbers are way off with H4831, just like I was telling you. They're way off with H4831 and the 90 grain GMX. I mean, it's not even close. Not even close. So I don't know. I don't know if you got a weird lot. I don't really think you did. I think something's going on with the data there. And I'm not so sure it's the burn rate changes over time, you know, variation lot to lot on powder. You know, there are going to be some slight adjustments, and that's even what I sent you the text about. I don't see a burn rate change, lot to lot variation. You know, I don't see that being the cause for what we're seeing on our velocity data, right? I don't know, because that 90 grain GMX, like I didn't even, like I was telling you, I'm at 56 grains, okay? So I just have to walk through it. I'm at 56 grains. The max charge is 57.8. So I'm 1.8 grains below the Hornady max charge. Their max velocity is 3,100 that they have with the 57.8 grain charge, okay, in their manual. I had a 5-shot group at 56 grains. I was at essentially 3,300 feet per second. I was at 3,296. So I'm 200 feet per second faster, 1.8 grains below their max charge. That's insane. 50.5, that's 3458. That's nuts. There's got to be something weird about that data. It just has to be, because it doesn't make sense. And so, yeah, I don't know. And I'm even loaded long, right? That I loaded the GMX long. Their overall length is like 3.135. I'm at 3.2. So I'm even 65 thou longer than their overall length, which, if just thinking about it logically, my pressures should reduce, right? They should be lower if I'm loading longer. I know you do reach a certain point where you start to get close to the lands and pressure does a weird thing, but at that point, I don't know. It's all around strange. Thoughts on Mag Pro? I like Accurate Mag Pro. I'm a really big fan of Accurate and Ramshot powders. You're at 3.2 as well. Yeah, that's what I loaded. So I brought some show and tell with me. So that's what I loaded this guy to. That's the 95 grain McGuire Ballistics, that copper rose for 25-06. So I loaded it to 3.2. Now for the GMX, I'm only jumping 30 thousandths. Yeah, my jam point, no, 35 thousandths. My jam point is 3.235 for the GMX. So I'm about 35 thousandths off jam. With that McGuire Ballistics, it's 3.285. So I'm 85 thousandths off my jam point with that, which I'm really, my plan is to only load 25 of these, okay, and test. And then whatever shoots the best out of those 5 groups, I'm just going to load up the other 25 with that particular charge weight and overall length and call it done. Because I'm probably not going to order another box of these, not for this project at least. But I want to turn the rifle back over and say, here you go. You have an option. You can use the 90 grain GMX. You know, here's 25 of those, and then here's 25 of these McGuire Ballistics. I would like for them to use both so I can get real world data, you know, feedback from in-field use. So, but yeah, Jason, back to yours. Again, I'm a big fan of Accurate Mag Pro, Accurate and Ramshot powders, period. You know, between those two, I'm a huge fan of both of those brands of powder. Thoughts on Mag Pro? I get good velocity with 7 rim mag and 3 rim mag, but accuracy is meh. Well, I won't say that that's necessarily been my experience either, but I will say if I'm trying to pump up velocity, Mag Pro is a pretty good powder to go with, and I think the times that I've used it, I can't remember if I used it, if that was the powder I used in 270 Winchester. That might be too slow. It might have been Ramshot Magnum. I might be thinking about Ramshot Magnum that I used in some project 270. But hey, Vanessa, glad you could join us. Yeah, the bullets are not cheap, right? That's the thing. I mean, I placed a really big order with him back on Black Friday, like a large order, and it was really because I wanted to have enough of the bullets on hand to do a lot of testing and all that fun stuff, and then have plenty to actually work up a load, and then have a lot of hunting ammo, right? That was my thought process there. So I placed a pretty big order with him back during Black Friday. So I think it was 4 boxes of the 30 cal, 4 of the 277, and then 4 of the 6.5. Yeah, I think I bought 200. I think I bought 200 of each. So Zach, on the 25-06 stuff on this guy, this is H4831. So that's why I'm saying I don't think you got a weird. I don't think you got a weird IMR 4831 lot. I don't think so, because I'm having really weird velocity results with H4831. So you tried Mag Pro in 270 but got pressure really fast, trashed that project, went to IMR 4451. I'd be interested to see how I would be interested, Jason, in your results with IMR 4451. That's not one I've tried in 270, I don't think. Pretty sure I haven't. I've tried it in 6.5 Creedmoor and 6 Creedmoor. I've had really good luck with it. It's a great powder, but I've never tried it in 270. 270 with IMR 4350 works well. 270 with Superformance. If you haven't tried Hodgdon Superformance in 270 Winchester, you are missing out. Go get Hodgdon Superformance, the Barnes 129 grain LRX, and load around 60 grains, somewhere in that range, and just, you're set. Like, it, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but that bullet powder combination in the 270s that I've tried it in, somewhere in that range, right? Somewhere in the 59 and up grain range, I think, if I remember right. That's been a really, really good combination in 270 Winchester. It shoots really well. You're loading the 95 grains tonight with N160. Oh, that'd be interesting to see too. I've got a pound of Reloader 22 that I think I might switch to for the 90 grain GMX for 25-06. So you're going to try the Spear data. Interesting. Any experience with Sierra Tip Game Kings? I actually loaded up, so it's funny. I don't know. I'm like, what is that movie? Was it The Truman Show? What is that movie Jim Carrey plays in where he's like being filmed? That's how I feel with you guys asking these questions, because Harvey, I loaded up some 125 grain Sierra Tip Game Kings in 300 blackout just earlier today. So y'all are working for an alphabet soup organization tracking me or something. But I haven't used them on game yet. That's the thing. And those are the only ones I've loaded up. I haven't loaded up any of the other, diameters or anything like that. So I bought a box of those. Oh God, it's been forever ago. I bought a box of those and I haven't really done anything with them. And so I've finally gotten back around to 300 blackout, and I want to, give them a try. So I loaded those up with some Winchester 296. So we'll see how they do. I mean, I think it should be a really good option for whitetail here in Alabama. You love IMR. Jason loves IMR 4451 and 270, 708, and 30-06. my 708 experience, I had pretty good luck working up a load for my buddy Richard for his wife's gun in 708. But me personally, I had a Bergara B14, and that thing never lived up to my expectations. It was around, 5-shot groups around anywhere from an inch to an inch and a half. And it was just like, different bullet powder combinations, shooting Nosler ballistic tips. I just couldn't get the accuracy out of it that I was expecting a Bergara, right? Because that's what everybody sings their praises. Oh man, you just go buy a Bergara and the thing just shoots like it. No matter who you watch on YouTube, like they're almost as bad as Glock fanboys, right? The Bergara fanboys, they're almost as bad as the 6.5 Creedmoor fanboys. So I went and got a B14 chambered in 708 and just didn't have any luck with it. And I actually had a few people comment and say that was their same experience too. So it's, I think they can be hit or miss when you go for their B14 model. Cornbread. Got that and may give it a try. You might be referencing the Superformance. Yeah, that's a great powder for 270 Winchester. Christopher just loaded 300 Win with firecracker grain. Interesting. Ramshot Magnum works great for the 22 250 Ackley improved with 88 grain ELDMs. Someone knows me. And no, I am not. I do get confused for somebody's brother or cousin all the time, though. I will tell you that. I have that same, I guess I have the cut and paste average bald white guy with a goatee look, that I'm always somebody's cousin or brother or someone that they once knew. I get that all the time. I'm like, nope, I ain't from there. Nope, never went there. Nope, don't know who that person is. You get 3/4 inch groups with your 708 Mossberg Patriot. Oh, wow, nice. Now, Mossberg Patriots are hit or miss. And that's well documented on YouTube as well. With IMR 4451 and 120 grain Pro Hunters. I had better results with heavier bullets in my 7mm 08 testing. For mine personally, now the 130s shot really, really good in, what was that rifle? I can't remember what it is now. I can't remember if it was a Remington 700 or what, for my buddy Richard that I worked up for his wife's gun. I can't remember if it was 700 or what, but man, it really liked those 130s. If you go back and watch that playlist, watch the project of that, I had some 130 Sierra Match Kings, just a random amount sitting on the shelf, and I was like, I'll just load these up to go fire for them some brass, because I converted 308 brass for that project. And man, it shot, I mean, lights out. I think it was 10 shots, like an inch or better at 100 yards with that whole setup. And I was like, okay, I think I need to go look at the 130 grain for that particular project. And I did, and they shot really well. But I used the Spear 130 grain. They're boat tail Spitzers, I believe. Empty shelves in the house. Yeah, I figured it had to be you, because I saw the name pop up, and I was like, it kind of took me a second. So need more cooking videos. Yeah, I need to go kill some stuff so I can cook it. You think Norma 202 with 42 grains and heavy bullets 708 is what Gunsmith out here reloads for himself and shoots? Yeah, when I had that Bergara, what shot the best for me were the Spear 160s. The Spear 160 grain boat tail Spitzers. I think that's what it was. Those shot the best out of all the bullets I tried. Could not get the ballistic tips to just shoot as well as I wanted them to. I will say that. I mean, you know, 1.5 inches, I'm gonna kill whatever I shoot at out here, but I thought they would shoot better. H380. Oh, really? I've got some of that on hand, actually. I've got some H380. Sean says hello. Let's see. Greater than 162 grain is what he's telling you. Yeah. Let's see. I think you're talking about the 708. He goes 42 grains and loads heavy. Okay, so he's going real heavy. Which I actually have a few boxes of some Barnes 175s, the solid copper 175s and 7 mil. But I'm holding on to those. At some point, I would like to build a 7. I'm working on narrowing it down, but I'm thinking a 7 SAUM. I'm thinking that's what. And it's gonna be purpose built with that bullet in mind. That 175, that flat base. It's gonna be built with that in mind. That's gonna be a heavy, you know, hunting rig. Not a heavy hunting rig. It's gonna be more of a lighter weight setup. Not too lightweight though. But something where, because I want to go elk hunt at some point in time. I will make that happen. It's just, it might be a long way off in the future, but I think that 175 would be devastating. Ever try the Frankfurt Arsenal universal seating die? No, but I think Johnny's reloading bench. I think JRB did a video on those. I believe. I thought about buying that universal seating die and then just actually never got it. I was well intentioned. I planned on picking it up. I thought it was a good idea, but then just never got around to it. So no, I haven't tried their seating die. I did try their coax press. I did try that and their IntelliDropper, their powder, their electronic powder dispenser. I've tried both of those. I did several videos on those and posted them on the channel. This has probably been, that was back in probably 2019 maybe. Yeah, something like that. So it's been a few years. But I posted a lot of videos about those, and I like both of those products. The coax press, I somewhat did a side-by-side comparison between that one, a Redding T7 turret press, and I think I still had a Redding Big Boss 2 single stage press. And I was testing bullet run out using the exact same dies. And so all the brass, everything had been prepped at the same time. It was the same lot of brass, same head stamp, whole nine, did all that stuff, made sure everything was as uniform as, you know, within my ability. And then the only thing that changed was the press that I used, right? So I used the exact same sizing die and exact same bullet seating die for the experiment. And I think I loaded up, I can't remember if I loaded up 50 rounds or however many rounds it was, but you know, it wasn't like I loaded up 5 and said, oh, well, these have, you know, less bullet run out, so that's a better press. I mean, in my mind, it was a good enough sample size for me to go, hey, you know, I actually have somewhat, I guess, somewhat tangible evidence or data that I can kind of lean on and say, hey, this press performed better over this sample size. And I believe the Redding Big Boss 2 was the best out of those 3. Obviously, the turret press. I mean, there is some play in that turret head. which is why Creedmoor Sports created their improved, modified version of that you can buy aftermarket, that different tool head that you can install on your Redding T7 to try to take some of that slop out of it. Which is why, that led Area 419 to develop their $1,200 Zero press. It's a turret press, but then you have that wedge lock system that allows for no slop in the turret. So, and then the Frankfurt Arsenal, it did good. The coax press did good, but it wasn't as good as the Redding Big Boss 2. And so, in my opinion, if you're just gonna have a single stage press, because that was the thing, if I would have to choose between all those three, it depends on what I'm trying to do, but if I'm running something where maybe I'm running a lot of 223 and I want to add a crimp to it, well, then I'll probably get the Redding T7, right? Or just go full-blown progressive. But if I'm just loading like I do and working up projects like I do and make ammo like I do, then it would be the Redding Big Boss 2 or the Mech Marksman like I have now, right? I would rather have that and have a really solid single-stage setup versus a coax. Half-inch groups in your 708 and 120 Nosler ballistic tips. Accurate 2495. That's a powder I've never tried. See it on the shelf quite a bit. I've never tried it. Hopefully I'll pick some up pretty soon. Let's see, you can load 708 with it, so I'm sure there's data for 6.5, 308, all that stuff. Do a 280 Ackley improved. Yeah, well, yeah. So here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at on that. Here's kind of my thought process. Is I already have I don't know how I'm going to attack this. Because if I go the Psalm route, because I don't think that fits in a true short action, a Remington 700 short action. I don't know. I don't think that actually fits in a short action. Starting to rain. If it does, then I've already got 2 Remington 700 short actions. So I've already got the action, right, that I can use. And so that's one of the reasons why I've been kind of looking around at short action cartridges that I would want to try to get something, get that action, get it rebarreled, get a barrel from somebody. I have no idea who. I haven't really gone down that road yet, but I'm really thinking something in 7mm. But 280 Ackley improved would be, that's a great round. That is a really, and it seems like it's gaining some momentum, which is a really good thing because the 280 Remington itself is a really good cartridge. It's overlooked and underrated in my opinion. I'm a little behind here on these comments. Some folks saying, hey, it's the only seating die you use now. Really? Interesting. So, I mean, I understand the universal nature of the die and how that could be appealing. I wonder if there's a test you could do to just say, quantifiably, this is a better seating die. Because I don't really know. Me, I don't think I have the capability. I definitely don't have the equipment that would be necessary to measure to that level to say, hey, this seating die is better than that seating die, right? I just don't think I have that capability in terms of measurement equipment. Now, if I had a CMM just sitting out in my shop, sure, we'd be measuring everything. So all others collect dust. What seating dies do you have? You want to sell them? I'm kidding. Not really, though. Depends on what seating dies you have. I might be interested if you want to wipe the dust off of them. I got that die. It's okay, but the lock Lock doohickey sucks. I do like your word choice there. Lock doohickey, the thingamajig, the whatchamacallit. Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's I'm not a fan of the RCBS lock ring, the Redding lock ring, you know, on those dies. It's like, man, you make such a good product and then you hand us this piece of garbage lock ring. It's like, I would rather just go buy Forster or Hornady lock rings and replace all my lock rings with those. Those are the best in the business. Those crossbolt style, man, those things work great. Zach, you love the RCBS Summit press for seating bullets. Yeah, and that's another one I've almost purchased, but I never did. Did you use the Creedmoor kit? No, I did not, because I didn't want to pay. It's like, I can't remember the cost now, but that thing is not cheap when you buy that that Redding conversion kit or that upgrade kit from Creedmoor Sports. Man, it ain't cheap. And I'm like, that's a tough pill to swallow if you're already into that press. I think that press costs like over $300. And so you're already into that press for a good chunk of change, and then you dump another decent chunk of change into an aftermarket tool head. I mean, I think it would definitely make a difference. But that just, that's tough to spend more on that. What's up, people? What's going on, Shane? Not much. We're just chatting on what has turned out to be a rainy Monday evening. Practice is still going, though. They need to practice in the rain, do them some good. Okay, James uses 24 accurate 2495 and 308 and 30-06 as well. Really? Man, I got to get on the accurate 2495 bandwagon here. I mean, it's a powder. Literally, I've looked at it, I don't know how many times on the shelf at the gun store at Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. He typically had, I think 2495 is one of those that sit on the shelf quite a bit, and I haven't picked any up. So y'all have convinced me. I'm gonna go get some. Stand by. Let's see if we pop back. Sorry guys, had to send a text, but okay. All right, accurate 2495. I got to add that to my list, so I plan on picking up that powder next. If you guys are having really good luck with it, it seems like it's a pretty versatile powder. And it's not one of those things where, hey, it's got to be a super amazing velocity option. So, I mean, I'm assuming you guys are getting acceptable velocities, otherwise you wouldn't be using it. When I crimp, I use a Lee Factory crimp. The 6mm. Have you seen it? I'm not sure what you're talking about there. 6mm factory crimp die. Hit that like button. There you go. Appreciate it, Zach. Yeah, that 280 Ackley Improved is up there to me. I'm happy with a non-mag round. Getting old and dead critters don't care. That's kind of, yeah, I'm with you 100%, Cornbread, on the statement that you just made. It's and especially as a hand loader, I feel like we have so much, wiggle room, we'll call it, so much that we can do with a particular cartridge, right, to kind of amp it up or down, however we need to suit the needs. Like that's the perfect example is the 308 project. The 308 project that I worked up for a buddy of mine. This was back, I don't know, a handful of years ago. And it was a 308. It was a Browning X bolt or an A bolt. I can't remember now, but chambered in 308. And he was like, hey, I want to put my foot on the gas with this thing. I was like, okay. So I went to all the manuals I could find and was looking up 308 data with a 165 grain bullet. That was what he wanted to shoot. So it ended up being the 165 grain Sierra Game King. And I think it was like a 22-inch barrel on that one, because I believe it was a compact version, maybe, if I'm remembering right, which I'm probably not. But So I went looking for data, and accurate 2520, I believe, was the best velocity option that I could find for that weight bullet. And so I went, chose that powder, pushed it, and I was at 2,900 feet per second with that bullet powder combination out of that setup. So, and he was like, "Holy smokes, why?" He's like, "Man, why would I want to try to go get a Magnum?" He said, "When you're pushing 2,900 feet per second with a 165 grain bullet out of this 308, he said, that's all. What more could I ask for?" He was like, that'll get the job done all day long, which is true. And so yeah, I'm with you there. Harvey's talking about, yeah, I never used the the bearing. You're talking about the bearing upgrade. No, because I think you can buy that separately. I think you can upgrade the bearings and stuff on it. So I'm talking about the full kit, but I never used any of the stuff from Creedmoor Sports. But yeah, cornbread critters, they don't know what hit them, nor do they care. They're just going to drop like a sack of hammers. Oh, 6mm version of the 6.5 Psalm. Got you. The 308, you use 42 grains with a 150 grain Match King. Not 6, you use 47.5 with the same 150. You're getting around 2,800. Nice. Yeah, that'll get the job done. That'll get the job done for sure. Now I will push it. It depends, and mostly with my own personal stuff. I'm not a fan of really pushing velocity or kind of pushing pressures and stuff with other people's firearms. Definitely not a fan of that. I don't want to have to pay for somebody's stuff. And so that's why I typically stay away from really trying to throttle it up there, unless that's what that person wants, right? They tell me directly, hey, I have a certain distance that I'm wanting to shoot. I have a certain bullet that I want to shoot. Okay, well then, we got to deliver enough energy on target, so that's going to require, we pump up the velocity. So you tend to stay 1 to 1.5 grains under max charge in any books. That is a good rule of thumb to live by as a reloader, and I don't follow that rule of thumb. Again, with my own stuff, it depends, because I'm reading pressures, and which is never really a good indicator, because by the time you see pressure signs, you're way over pressure. It's not necessarily a good indicator to go by, but depends on what I'm trying to do as well. If I'm really trying to push something, which most of the time I'm not. That's like my 6.5 Creedmoor loads. Let's see. I think maybe 2750. Yeah, maybe 2750 is what I had that 140 grain Spear Impact going with Power Pro 4000 MR. It might have been 2725. I'd have to go back and look. But those loads aren't, that's not really screaming fast. A lot of what I was shooting, especially around the 140 grain mark, I stuck to around 42 grains of H40 350. That was the primary powder I use in the Creedmoor. And 40 to 42 grains, depending on the bullet weight. For the 140s, I was around 2650 to 2700, and it's killed several deer at this point. It gets the job done. Without having to tax the brass too much. tell you what, it's getting hot in this vehicle. I know that much. The high today was 80. So, but we got storms rolling in, severe weather coming in tomorrow. School's going to let out early. So it's that time of year in Alabama, springtime. Oh yeah, I brought multiple show and tell items. I showed this guy earlier. This is the 25-06 project I'm working on now. That's the 95 grain McGuire Ballistics bullet that Sam sent out to me. So shout out to Sam McGuire on that. I really appreciate it. Gonna get that bad boy loaded up, see how it does. I've already shot one 5-shot group with this bullet and H4831. It was a 53.5 grain charge. Shot pretty well. My velocities, I think my average was somewhere around 3,000 feet per second. And the group came in, it was like 1.2 inches, so not stellar, but it was that is the smallest 5-shot group that I have shot with that particular gun. And I've already shot, I think I've shot 30 rounds using the 90 grain GMX from Hornady. And that 1.2 inch group was smaller than any of those groups, any of those 5-shot groups. And then I've shot 3 5-shot groups with a box of the factory ammo that the guy gave me that he was using. And those groups are like 3-inch groups. It's absolutely terrible. The factory ammo is not shooting well at all in that particular gun. So to just kind of load these up, one random 5-shot group with 53.5 grains of H4831, and we get the best, measurement group wise. That's promising for the next 4 groups that I'm going to be testing or go shooting for testing. And then I've got the 30 TC. This is the 168, the 168 grain McGuire Ballistics copper rose hollow point. So that's what I killed that 9-point with. And this 30 TC with Shooter's World match rifle powder, this is a 46.9 grain charge. I'm at like 2840 is my average, and my SDs are single-digit SDs with this particular bullet powder combination. It's Hornady 30 TC head stamp brass, and the primers these are the Federal Gold Medal Match large rifle primers. So, but yeah, I'm getting single-digit SDs. The other day when I went and shot, I think I had one 5-shot group. My SD was 2.2. Had another one that was like 5.4. Had another one that was in the 4s, one like 7. So this particular bullet powder combination, man, it does really, really well. Accuracy, I wish was a little bit better. My groups are not what I want them to be, but the velocity, the combustion part of it is there. So something, I'm gonna have to tweak something with overall length. I've got to figure that out and dial that in, because the combustion side of the house is locked in. You're doing a lot of testing with 243 now. Nice. Yeah, the 95 grain Nosler ballistic tip, IMR 4350. I've got several boxes of that particular bullet. Big fan of that in a 243. What do I use to remove copper? So I don't use a copper exclusive kind of agent or solvent. I use it's Bortec Eliminator, I think. And it's an all-in-one. You know how that goes, right? It's probably not the best at removing carbon. It's probably not the best at removing copper. It's probably just okay at removing both. But there for a while, I was using their copper remover. I have no idea what it's called, but it was Bortec. Is it Boretec? I think. It's what Mr. Big Guns over in Huntsville, they carry a lot of Bortec stuff. They carry some other cleaning products as well, but they carry some Bortec. And when I actually started getting serious about cleaning my guns, I started switching to that. And then the Eliminator is kind of like an all-in-one, supposedly. And I've used that now for, I don't know, probably the last year or so, no, maybe longer than that. and I mean, I like it. So okay, cornbread. He says he wipes the brass off with lacquer thinner so as not to tarnish. Huh, interesting. Yeah, this is the 270 Winchester load using the, oh, this is a 128, I think. A 128 grain McGuire Ballistics, Copper Rose Hollow Point. So got that guy. This is the one. So I actually posted pictures about this on my Instagram. Uh, this, like, I had already dumped powder in the cases. I hadn't seeded the bullet yet, but I posted the picture. And if you guys are interested, you need to go take a look at it. But the case fill, I was using the load is, I think it's 61 grains of H4831 shortcut. You got to go look at the case fill. Like, people were actually commenting on the picture about, it's going to be slightly compressed. I mean, it's the case fill. I mean, it's up into the neck, right? So it's low density. It's pretty good with that one. But it's yeah, that one. But it's not necessarily the best velocity option. That particular powder, it's not the best velocity option. I'm getting, I'm only getting 30-50 is my velocity, and that's 128 grain solid copper bullet. You should be able to push that, definitely beyond 30-50 for sure. In 270. So I'm gonna go check. Probably gonna go test, not check, but I'm gonna go test some Superformance. Plan on testing that, and I'll have to go back in my stash of powders and see what all I do have that would be a good velocity option for solid copper in 270. And that's back to the point Zach made earlier, Reloading Quest made earlier, is these bullets are not cheap. So I don't want to just go and test and test and test and then, run out of them. So I plan on trying to narrow down my powder selection, to maybe 1 or 2 powders I want to test, see what type of accuracy and velocity results I get, and then just load up a few rounds to hunt with. Because that's what I did with these. I pretty much maxed out my case fill with this particular combination, and it's shooting pretty good, around an inch, 5-shot groups, at 100 yards, and which is more than fine with me. And the SDs are okay, around 15. So it's in the mid teens on my SDs, which is, again, is fine. No big deal. So yeah, so I loaded up 20 of those, and I like the way, I know the looks don't matter because the animal ain't gonna see this, but it looks pretty cool. So that solid copper and the nickel plated cases there. And these are the pre-primed cases that I picked up from American Reloading. So those 270 Winchester, the Federal nickel-plated prime stuff that they were selling. It's not hot till you get pressure, then back off. That's for that rifle, but that's for that particular rifle. No other. Yeah, exactly. Kind of to Jeff's point. I mean, you really can't just say, hey, here's a general, you're gonna have pressure, blah blah blah, right? LJ, I remember you, buddy. Yep. Oh, I lost your house to a fire. Holy smokes. Man, that sucks. Yeah, I remember you. Lost house to fire back in November, but rebuild is almost complete. Hope to get back to load. Well, I'm glad your rebuild is almost complete. That's terrible though, that you lost it to a fire. But yeah, Jeff, you're spot on with that comment there. Every rifle it's a unique individual. So, and you got to treat it that way. I mean, what we're sitting here spouting off as load data, and hey, it works great, shoots half MOA in my particular 700 or whatever it is, my Tika T3X. Okay, well then I go get one, and it shoots 2-inch groups, right? It's just, they're all individuals. You got to treat them that way. Okay. you use, so it's good stuff. I have to use other stuff to remove the carbon. Gotcha. Dad used to use a 25-06 back when he was big into hunting. Well, this is my first, what do you want to call it? My first exposure, we'll say, to 25-06 Remington. It's a cartridge that I've definitely been intrigued by for a long time, but I've never owned anything in the cartridge, and I've never had a project for this cartridge until now. So really liking it. I am really liking it. I've already told the guy, you know, hey, it's his daughter's rifle, so I doubt they'll ever get rid of it. But I said, if she ever reaches a point where she don't like it anymore, I said, you know who to call. Be happy to take it off your hands. It's a really, really nice. It's a nice looking rifle. It's the Ruger M77 Hawkeye, so it's got the wood stock on it. You know, it looks sharp. I like it. Loading soon. Just want to say hey and enjoy the content. Well, I appreciate you stopping by and saying hey. Recoil is nice on a 25-06. Definitely. That's another thing that I don't know how to. That's one of those subjects where you almost don't even want to talk about it because for some reason people are weird about people wanting to mitigate recoil and felt recoil. I'm not exactly sure why. When I did a couple of videos on the backstop recoil pad here recently, and those videos it's been insane how many views those videos have gotten, which is great. But at the same time, some of the comments that people make on those videos, I just don't understand it. You know, I don't know. Why would you not want to mitigate felt recoil? And for me, some of it starts with the cartridge selection, right? Like I really don't want to go and buy a Weatherby, 340 Weatherby mag. Something's just going to punch you in the face. I would love to have one. I'd love to reload for one. But man, you just know there's going to be a fair bit of recoil comes with it. I don't know. I've kind of gotten to that point where I'm trying to balance out felt recoil with cartridge selection. Yeah, and definitely like that aftermarket recoil pad, that type of stuff. There's some things you can do to help muzzle brake that weight of the rifle itself. But yeah, people are weird. Zach. Yeah, people are weird, which is very interesting, and I think that's why I really enjoy doing these live streams because you start to find out just how weird people really are. Because if you're like me, you're going, man, I know I'm weird. And then you get people on here, it's like, holy smokes. Some folks take it to a new level. And it always, people impress me. It's funny. When you start dealing with the public, yeah, people impress me. And that's funny. It's interesting. The chance for overpressure is why I buy cheap rifles, so it doesn't hurt that bad if something was to go wrong. Well, see, there's a flip side of that point too, James. You can play devil's advocate on this and say, well, if you buy cheap rifles and you go over pressure, is the likelihood of something catastrophic happening, is that higher because it is a cheap rifle? Whereas you go on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? And you go and you get something, we'll say expensive, but I mean, you go and purchase a premium rifle, right? Is there any difference? Would that rifle be able to withstand higher pressures than the $300 Savage Axis? I don't know. But I'm with you. I'm a huge fan of budget oriented items, 100%. Especially when it comes to rifles. I mean, if it's kind of like if it gives you the ability to get out and shoot, what is that? 45 Tactical. Who is that YouTuber that would say that? Get out and shoot, whoever it was. But If it affords you the ability to do that, to just get a gun in your hands, I'm all for it, you know. But I think someone could logically in your mind, you know, you'd want to follow that trail of, hey, they're making this thing for $300 over here, then you can go buy this other thing from this different brand, you know, for 1500. I don't know. Would that be any better? Civilian tactical. Did he change it? Wasn't it 85-45 tactical or something like that? Did he change the channel? But yeah, that way if something does go wrong, it doesn't hurt your feelings as much because it doesn't hurt your wallet as much. You put a pad on your 9-pound 338-06, probably a good idea. Checking in before Iowa LSU game, can't stay long, but ditto on recoil. Well, we're happy to have you. Iowa and LSU, what are they playing? Civilian tactical, I don't remember. Yeah, it's something, but yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Can't remember if you've covered it before, but thoughts on 6-arc. I'm a huge fan of 6-arc. I'm a big fan of the efficient case design cartridges, 6.5 Grendel, 6-arc, in that range. Big fan of all those. You got a buddy that's big on it right now and sparked my curiosity. It's definitely one to take a look at. I'm more of a fan of it in the bolt action platform. Yes, women's LSU Iowa about to play rematch of last year's championship game. Bad blood. Maybe PMS. I don't know. Well, it's a possibility. But yeah, no, I like 6-arc. I actually did a series of videos on 6-arc. Oh, I posted a couple of videos on it when it was first announced. I did sort of just some tabletop comparison videos of other cartridges, and then I ended up getting a Savage 110 Tactical chambered in 6-arc and loaded up several rounds, did some videos on it. You know, I can't remember what all I tested in it. What powders. I think it might have been Accurate 2520 and maybe BLC2, some of the other ones. And it it did really, really well. Now, in that one, I will sort of preface it with, if you go watch that playlist, LJ, yeah, you're the one that brought it up. If you go watch the playlist, it's on my channel. Just know that I pushed that cartridge extremely hard. Extremely hard. I think even in one of the videos, I had somebody commenting because they were running the data in quick load, and I was way, I mean, I was piercing primers, way over pressure with that particular cartridge. So go watch that playlist if you're interested in 6-arc. But I'm a huge fan of it, and I mean, obviously in the AR platform, it was really designed for that. It's going to be a great choice. In a bolt gun, the only reason I didn't like the 110 Tactical that I had is because it had I think an 18-inch barrel, 18 or 20. I can't remember now for the life of me. Maybe 18. And I would prefer, that's one where I would prefer to have a, you know, that's one you might even want to go more of a custom route, where you have the action and you get maybe a 24 or a 26-inch barrel if you really want to reach out there with those 6 mil bullets. That would be a fun one to mess around with. And two, I mean, you can just, you know, neck down the 6.5 Grendel brass. So that's what's nice about it too. Long live soccer, more live stream. Do you swap barrels on your Savage with a go gauge? It doesn't seem too difficult. No, I think that's the beauty of owning a Savage, and I've never done that. It's sad to say, and I probably should, but I don't have any Savages at the moment, other than a 114 and 300 Win Mag that I wouldn't mess with. But like if you go buy one of those new 110s now, you know there's a million different versions of the Savage 110. And yeah, that would be, you know, you go pick up one of those and do barrel swaps and a go gauge. Supposedly that's, you know, kind of supposed to be a selling point of those Savage 110s now. You can just go get pre-fit barrels and screw them on and you're good to go. So I definitely should have done that in the past, but I've never messed with it. I probably should have, because that would be probably a better route to go than, you know, another rifle or whatever, right? Talk to y'all later on your way to load some. Adios, James. Have a good one. Yeah, the 277, the Sig Fury, those cases, that weird case design, yeah, that's supposed to be able to withstand 80,000 PSI. And they have some at American Reloading, AmericanReloading.com. I don't know anybody that shoots the 277 Sig Fury, so I don't know anyone that owns one. Yeah, it was a shorty, yep. Savage rifles are easy. Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of the Savage platform, right? I think they definitely appeal to people, I guess, like us. I'll say that, where you get one and you can go do a barrel swap on it, and it's something you can do and feel confident the next time you pull the trigger, right? So. Stand by. And we're back. The cases are 6.8 by 51 mil. They're 308 based. Nice. Anybody else have anything interesting going on in the reloading world? That's primarily what we discuss. Anybody running into issues like Reloading Quest, his weird velocity stuff he's got going on in 25-06? I mean, those numbers are crazy. Speaking of Reloading Quest, got your chronograph case here with me. It basically, my chronograph just pretty much stays in my vehicle at this point. And then I have an external battery pack that I just take with me and plug it in when I'm at the range if I need to. Are you 6'3"? Negative. Looking at 45 Raptor, it's a 460 Smith & Wesson on an AR-10, essentially. Dang. That's pretty cool. That sounds pretty intense. Well, good. They should be selling well because it's a really cool case. So they should be selling well. It's you did a good job on it. But yeah, pretty much that's where my chronograph stays now. Which I think was somewhat of a misstep by Garmin, in my opinion. I mean, the thing is already an amazing piece of gear, but they really could have put it over the top if they would have just included some type of case, you know, because then they could have really kind of, you rub it in the face of Lab Radar even more, because that's kind of part of people's gripes with Lab Radar. You know, you go pay $500 or whatever they were selling them for, $600 or whatever it was. Then you got to buy the stand. Then you got to buy the case. Then you got, you got to get all the stuff to go with it. Garmin really could have, they really could have took it up another notch if they just included a case. That would have been nice. But they didn't, and then that's where Reloading Quest came in. He saw a need for it, and now he makes these cases. That Garmin is small enough to fit in an Apache 4800, 2800 case at Harbor Freight. I'm gonna say yes, because this unit, stand by, literally a loaded 270 Winchester is longer than this thing. So that's what you're talking about. We're gonna measure stuff in bullet length. So yeah, it's this is a very compact, which is one of the big selling points of this thing. It is such a small chronograph, and that was the thing. Like, I was literally shocked when I went, and because I'd seen them online, but that doesn't mean I really paid attention to the dimensions or anything. And then my buddy Matt over at Mr. Big Guns was like, hey, he said, hey, I got in some of those Garmins, if you want one, you just come pick it up. So I go down there. We pulled the box out from behind the counter, and he's like, here you go, open it, because the box was already pretty small. And I opened it up, and I'm like, is this it? Are you kidding me? I mean, this thing's tiny, absolutely tiny. So huge fan of this chronograph. And then yeah, and it's really good because, like I said, Reloading Quest, he saw the need for a case, and so he 3D prints these cases, and they work great. So let's see. Spring in the bolt may be bad. Yep, that's a few places to go with it. .270 is loaded longer than our national debt. Not quite. It ain't quite that long. I don't know much that is when you compare it to that. Having a hard time finding that round. What round, Anthony? Are you talking 270 Winchester? 25-06? Which round? Lab radar can't be used side by side at the range. That is definitely a complaint that I have heard. About 270 Win. Really? Where are you at? If you have a hard time finding that round, I see it sitting on the shelves all the time. Hopefully you're into reloading. So if you're not, that's a good reason to get into it. So you can never have issues finding it. You can just make it yourself. Yes, I had heard that lab radars, you couldn't use them side by side. A lot of folks going to these competitions trying to set up their lab radars, and it was triggering and not picking up their information. Oh, you're in South Carolina. And so causing massive issues. And I say that it's not personal experience from me, but again, to reference Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville, my local gun store that I like to go to, the owner and another buddy of mine, they shoot competitively. And so they travel, they do the gap grind, they shoot PRS, they do all this stuff. And they travel, up to Indiana, all these different states and compete. And that was one of their complaints with the lab radar, is you had to be careful about how you set it up and where you were relative to other people. And they said that they have not had any of those issues using the Garmin. So I can't say personally, you know, I can't say that I haven't had any issues doing that because I don't compete. I don't, you know, typically when I go to the range, you guys see my range footage, there's almost no one there every time I go. So I don't really have that issue, and I haven't tested it either, though. Um, if I could head to the range with a buddy of mine, I may put that to the test. But supposedly, you shouldn't have any problems. That's just the word on the street. That's what I've heard. So I don't think the Garmin is limited like the lab radar, but could be wrong. They work fine next to each other. Okay. That's what Reloading Quest said. Ryan Dearmore dropped in a 3040 Crag comment. Norma USA. All right, so Anthony, if you're looking for 270 Win, KM drop some knowledge. Norma USA has 270 in stock. Prices ain't perfect, but free shipping over $100, $150. Excuse me. Okay, but it does work good. Okay, so Reloading Quest said he was at a bench. He was at the range on Friday shooting, and two guys next to him had them as well, and none of them experienced issues. So that fact by itself puts lab radar to shame. Better option. Well, it's one of those where, you know, I'm really glad Garmin came out with this unit. It's pushing that particular part of the industry forward, which is good. We need people to do that, right? Just like we needed lab radar when they came out. They introduced that unit on the scene. That was the bee's knees, right? That was the thing when it came out. And man, I really wanted one for a long time. I just did not pull the trigger on getting that unit. I stuck with my Magneto Speed Sporter because I started off with a Caldwell and then switched to a Magneto Speed Sporter and used that for a long time. And it works great, but the downside of using something like that attaches to your barrel is you're testing either or in that case, right? I'm either going to the range to test for accuracy and how my loads are performing group wise, or I'm going there with the intent to test velocity. I can't do both because I'm hanging something off the end of my barrel and I'm messing up the harmonics of the system itself, the rifle system itself, and the barrel, and it's changing, you know, point of impact, accuracy, all that fun stuff. So, you know, so for me, I finally reached a point where I was like, you know what, when they came out with the Garmin, and I was like, you know what, now we've had the lab radar for a little while. Hopefully they've improved on the technology. Now, you know, of course, it's a much smaller unit, all that fun stuff. The ease of operation and how they address some of the alignment issues that seem to be a problem that would plague the lab radar. This doesn't seem to have those problems. I was like, you know what, now's the time. I just need to jump on this one. And I did. Couldn't be happier. Getting into rifles now, my buddy gave me a great deal on 270. Yeah, so if you're getting into rifles, guess what else you need to get into? Reloading. No, just kidding. But yeah, it's once you get into it, especially on the reloading side of the house, man, you'll talk about a rabbit hole. Does anyone know where to get any 3040 Crag? Can't find it anywhere. From Ryan Dearmore. Ugh, I don't have any good leads for you. Oh, well. All right, well, it looks like practice. Looks like they called practice early, so I'm going to have to end my live stream early, guys. I hate that. We were chatting away with some really good estate sales. Yeah, no kidding. I'm with K&M on that one. I don't know where you get 30-40 Crag. Yeah, we'll catch y'all on the next live stream. I should have a 25-06 video that'll get released later on this week, possibly Friday. One day this week. Y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna show my results with the 90 grain GMX and the 95 grain McGuire Ballistics. So y'all stay tuned for that. Yep. Rabbit hole, sinkhole, throw your money in it. That's reloading for you in a nutshell. We just summed it up. So, all right. Awesome, man. I appreciate everybody that stopped by this evening and hung out and chatted. And it's really fun talking to you guys. I enjoy it a lot. So I enjoy these live streams. They're a lot of fun. Best reloading set. We'll have to tackle that one on another live stream. I got to go. Practice is over. And so time to head to the house. So, but we can tackle that in another one. All right. Yeah, we'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one. Have a good rest of your week.